an album-shaped monument to a paragon, so let's see how many big words we can fit in this. Welcome to A Run Who Does Music, where today I'm starting a 3-album run of commissions from my friend Maeve, all by the band 8D6, with this album called Journey of the God King. In a game called Wrestler Unstoppable, there's a wrestler named Paragon of Greatness, which is the subject of this album from this band, with each song telling a different part of his story. Since this is an EP, I'll be going through things track by track, so let's get started. The first song on the album, Brush with Greatness, is one I've heard plenty of times from attending the weekly radio show in Wrestler Unstoppable After Hours on RAWF Radio. This is the theme song that Paragon uses in the game, so it's safe to assume that this would be the epitome of this project, the very definition of Paragon, and therefore this album's focus. Up against the other tracks on the album, this one definitely plants its feet in the sand the most firmly, with the lyrics being put forth in a very traditional, sort of wrestler-themed way, with descriptive lines that give you a rough idea about the guy without being anything too deep or convoluted. The line, "could have ruled forever but he lost his patience," comes to mind specifically, considering the character Paragon of Greatness is someone who's lived a long time, having of course walked paths as a ruler of course, as well as every other section of royalty or outside of it. This track sets things up in a great way, with the extended version at the end of the album giving some extra verses that, while interesting, I feel do start to stretch the ideas a little too thin, considering the same elements getting revisited throughout the rest of the track list. Next up is Tyrant King, a departure from the initial 50-50 ruler or dictator sort of vibe you get from the evenly displayed Brush with Greatness. This is much more on the nose, talking about the course of his rule, which is told to us as paved with blood and darkness, a lack of light, and an exaggeration of subservience to this God King. In wrestling terms, this feels like the theme that'd play if he would lean more into heelish tendencies, with a more measured tone in the instrumentals and flatter singing. The lyrics do become a bit repetitive, perhaps purposely given this album is, for all intents and purposes, an album in tribute to a wrestler, but the idea is clearly delivered with ease. Pharaoh's Reign is the next song, and while the instrumentals pick up in terms of energy, this does feel like the most bare bones part of the tracklist after a few re-listens. The lyrics transition from pure domination and this godlike fear that he instills to a more subdued, tamer vibe, but the overall sound is a bit too similar to Tyrant King to really give off too many different feelings. The additional piano towards the end and transition into the next song, Across the Stars, is a nice touch, but once you finish Across the Stars, you're kind of left with the feeling that this was more of a part 1, part 2 situation, or rather one extended track instead of two different ones. I don't hate either song here, but I'm left with the feeling that this could have been done under one track with the entire 8-ish minutes, or a more condensed version of the two songs. We already covered the 6th song, which is an extended version of the intro track, Brush with Greatness, so the final song we're talking about today is God King's Lament, which unfortunately has a lot of the same criticism for it that I gave Pharaoh's Reign and Across the Stars. There's a lot of similarity and a lack of distinct differences in the lyrical department. I can admire the lyrical dedication to one core idea and theme, but 5 songs in and we've essentially told the same story about 4 times over. Nothing really feels too different, giving me really nothing to talk about here. Like I said, it's consistent in terms of what a wrestler's theme song or set of theme songs would sound like. It hits that mark, but it's not doing much beyond that. All in all, this is a fitting tribute to Paragon of Greatness, but when I review an album, I look at both the story that's intended to be told as well as the musical quality overall. Taking both elements into account, I'm left with a brief album that, while it does hit the mark on the storytelling aspect, it doesn't accomplish what I feel like it should in terms of variance or differences. 2 songs feel a little too identical, and the middle of the album feels like one stretched out track overall. It's not awful by any means, and once again I must stress that it does lay out the character of the wrestler it's made for quite well, but it's unfortunately rather average at the end of the day. For these reasons, Journey of the God King by 8D6 gets a 2.5 out of 5 EP score, or a 5 out of 10 overall album score. And that's the review. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you are interested in getting a commission done, simply message me on any of the social medias I link at the end of the video here, or my link tree, and let's talk. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're staying hydrated. I'll see you next time. I